Today, I'm joined by James Powley, owner of the Commute Café right here in St Ives. And we'll be talking about what it really takes to build and sustain an independent business on the high street, especially in a world dominated by the big chains. James and his team have grown the Commute Café into a much loved local spot with its own unique community, character and loyal following. So I'm really looking forward to hearing his story. James, welcome. Thanks for bringing in the coffee.
My pleasure.
Very much appreciated. Maybe start off by telling us a little bit about who you are and something about the Commute Café.
Yeah, so my name's James and I'm from the Commute Café. We are a family-run business with myself and my wife. My kids are in there in the weekend as well. The cafe obviously is independent run. We pride ourselves on quality coffee and everything else that goes around it, and we really are a community hub for St Ives.
And what inspired the name for the cafe, the Commute Café?
Yeah, so the Commute Café, obviously it does have a connection with the community, but it also has a little bit of a cycling theme around it with commute or commuting to work. And it also sounded cute. So that was the reasoning behind the name. Yeah.
And the reason for choosing St Ives?
We are from St Ives, and it all started during COVID when we were allowed to do our 30-minute walks, and we spotted the old florist on the Broadway. And my wife just simply said to me, well, I said to her, that would make a lovely cycling themed cafe or community themed cafe. And she said to me, well, you've been talking about that for a long time. Why don't you do something about it? And the rest is history, as we say.
So when you first opened the doors, what was your vision for the cafe?
Obviously, from my background as being a keen cyclist, racing in the 90s, and my background of cafes, mainly around the cycling fraternity and going to a destination, having a nice cafe, nice cup of coffee, tea, whatever, and then coming back. And a lens is also a love for cafes, particularly coffee and cake. So our vision was to create a cycling themed cafe that we could cater for the community as well as the cycling community.
And what were the biggest challenges in those first few months after opening?
Well, yeah, I mean, staff comes to life. They're the most important element of it, and we tried to make sure that we got the right staff in. So we've got a nice mix of, shall we say, youngsters and people of our age. Because once you have the facility, it's all about how the people engage with the customers. And I think that kind of differentiates us between other coffee shops.
And I have to admit a vested interest here, because I came in the first week you opened.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was a flower shop.
Yeah.
And it changed. And as it was being fitted out, we could see it looked fantastic inside.
Yeah, thank you.
Was it something that you self-funded, or did you have to look for some financial support to get you off the ground?
Some of it was self-funded. So basically life savings that we'd saved up. We were at that time of the life when we could afford to do that. But a big chunk of it came from the startup grant that the government offer, which we obviously pay for the next, we've got another 2 years before we finish that.
It's interesting because that is a subject that we're going to be covering in another episode of the podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think so many people are interested in that and understanding the process they have to go through.
Yeah.
The cafe industry is notoriously tough.
Yeah.
What helped you stand out, do you think, in those first few months of opening?
I think the initial thing, if you get a chance to go to the Commute Café, the first thing that you'll see is a big white building with some nice, simple theme on the front with the glass that we've done and the logo in, and it's clean, it's bright, and it's welcoming. So that's what we really wanted to create, and then the rest of it is down to how we engage with the customers and the quality product that we provide.
Competing with the big chains like Costa and Cafe Nero, that's going to be intimidating. What do you think gives you that competitive advantage as an independent on the high street?
We are different to the Costas and the Neros of this world, as you just mentioned. But and what makes us different is how, as an independent, we can tailor or do things ourselves. We're not dictated upon. So if you go to a Nero or Costa, yes, it's the same everywhere. But the quality of our coffee is a special recipe that's made for the Commute Café through the company that we use. And we replicate that every single time. So this morning when the staff go in, it's all tested and made sure that the correct grams of coffee goes through the machine at the correct time and weight to ensure that perfect cup of perfection, as we like to call it. And then all the other products that we sell in there, we try to, my kind of mantra is trying to find award-winning brands that we sell. So we have wonderful sausage rolls from Somerset, which have won numerous awards. We've just launched our new pasties, and they are proper Cornish pasties from Cornwall. And then all our other products. So we got our cakes from a wonderful company in Bristol. Many times people have asked us, are they homemade? We kind of have to bite our tongue and no, they're not, but thanks for appreciating that they are homemade. So it's that kind of quality of product that we're trying to achieve.
And do you think that local customers want to support independent businesses like yours?
I kind of think that I hope so, because it's so important for us to survive. The other thing that we kind of contemplated was the fact that we are on the Broadway and away from the mainstream of the footfall. So I've just walked down here and you can see straight away there is so much more footfall down this end of the town. So that was a big concern for us in terms of the footfall. So we have to do something different to or stand out so that we can attract customers down to our end of the town.
It sounds like what you're trying or have aimed at doing is building a community surrounding the whole Commute Café brand.
Absolutely. I mean, if you go into the cafe, the customers that come in, you obviously do come in. We know nearly all the customers that come in, we'll know them by their first names. And that's the kind of community spirit and engagement that we'd like. And we hope that our customers realise that the value in the commute and keep coming back to us for that reason.
I mean, the Commute Café does have a very distinct vibe, which I particularly like. It's dog friendly.
Yeah.
The coffee and all the food that you serve in there is fantastic. It's very welcoming. Sounds like a bit of an advert here, but it is very different from the sort of thing that you get in the big sort of big chains.
Yeah.
How important is that atmosphere to you and the people that work in the cafe?
I think it's number one, without a doubt. So when I walk into the cafe, so obviously I'm not in there on a day-to-day basis. Occasionally I'll go in there and enjoy the cafe from a customer's perspective. I have to say it's quite rare because I'm usually collared by staff to do this or do that. But when I sit down and I can hear everybody talking and the chatter that's going around the commute, it fills me with pride that we have created this wonderful place for people to enjoy in St Ives.
I can't help but agree. It's very good. I mean, do you think the independents have a bit of a problem that they are a dominant force, but to pull themselves out of being in that sort of like all looking pretty much the same. They've got different decor and things like that. But in terms of extending how they work, is something like your model something they should follow, or do you think they're just too fixed in their ways?
Personally, I mean, if obviously if they don't do it in St Ives,
Of course,
then I think it would be a great model for them to copy, and it's definitely scalable. And yeah, without a doubt, that would work. Yeah.
I don't think it. I personally, I think if you prefer to go somewhere where you walk in and there's familiar faces, you tend to get a community of people. I'm saying it's a place that you want to gravitate to. Just going into what is a nicely decorated big chain is fantastic, but it's not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
You've been open quite a while now.
Yep, it's coming up to 4 years in April.
So how do you think the Commute Café has evolved over that time in what it delivers, the services it offers, and
we've been down a bumpy road, I would say, but I think we found it's kind of like our niche and where we want to be. The food aspect of the commute has been something that has bothered me from the very start, and we wanted to again create something special. But this is the reason why I said like the chains, for them it would be scalable, but for us it was very difficult because we've got a very small kitchen. So we were offering bespoke food and nice freshly made food. So everything was made to order. But in the end, unfortunately, much to some customers' dismay, we had to pull the reins on that because it just wasn't sustainable going forward. So then we had to look at like, how are we going to change this, and what's the best way forward. Ultimately, coffee was our number one, followed by cakes, followed by food. And in the very beginning, we had it the other way around. So we had food at number one, and we were obsessed with getting the food right. So I think over time, we now use a nice premium brand in from London, and they're ready-made like wraps, paninis, croque monsieur, which is very popular, a croque tomato as well, and some wraps and some salads in the summer, and they're really, really, really popular. But what's been the biggest thing is that we've noticed over the time that we've been open is that our coffee is what drags people in. That's our number one thing.
And something you touched on earlier, you're not in the centre of town. You're just slightly out. I mean, it's not very far out.
Yeah.
It only takes about a minute to walk down from where you are down to where we are in the centre now.
Yeah.
But where you are is actually on prime footfall route for people taking walks out of St Ives, out to Holt Island, down the Thicket Path, down by the river and coming back.
Yeah, we're quite, for those that are local, we're on the Hemmingford Loop, as we call it, which is great for dog walkers. And we one of the decisions that we made, as you know, you have the lovely April, and we decided that dogs or being dog friendly was a key thing for us, and we're pet lovers anyway, so it was a no-brainer.
Do you see yourself expanding, or just staying small and sort of sticking with the local community ethos that you started?
I don't see us. We've tried expanding, so we tried expanding in Cambridge where I work, but we quickly decided that we're not about the money. Yes, we'd like to earn so that we can make so that we can live and provide a roof over our house, over our heads. But we basically just love doing what we're doing, and that's the main reason we do it, basically. Yeah.
I know recently you've expanded into offering sort of using your side room that you've got for people who want to sit there and do their work during the day.
Yeah.
And also your wife who is French,
Yes.
is offering French lessons now.
Yeah, Hélène has been a revelation with the French classes. They're so popular, we haven't advertised them much. Hélène gets 1 or 2 customers every week, like new people that are joining her groups. And that Hélène was a teacher for 22 years, and she loves her French conversation classes. She gets so much enjoyment from doing it. So it's a nice little sideline and helps us with the cafe, especially during our quieter times. And then that space can be used. So we have we call it the safe room, because there's an old safe embedded in that room, in the fireplace.
Did you find anything in the safe when you?
No, we haven't broken into it yet. We need a locksmith to do that. But we keep saying we keep wanting to do that, but we haven't had the actual time to do it. But it'd be interesting to see what's in there.
I think so. You get the museum involved. We're right next to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, they've been involved in the history of our building. We had the first doctor that was in St Ives, occupied the building in the 18th century. So that we have it. If anyone comes down to the Commute, you'll see that we've got a little history wall with all the history of the building.
I only recently saw that, bizarrely.
Yeah.
What do you think the hardest lesson you've learnt is since you opened an independent cafe in quite a competitive business on the high street?
I think attention to detail, and I think Hélène and I can quite honestly say and put our hands up when we were very naive going into the Commute. And our learning curve has been so steep, from everything from staff to accounts to payroll to business rates, to understand the whole aspect of how to run a business. And it's been a roller coaster. But at the end of the day, as I said to you earlier, we are so proud of what we have achieved for the Commute and the community of St Ives.
So have you ever had those moments when you thought this might not work, and you've clearly pushed through them?
Yes, quite a lot.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Especially being new to running a business like that.
Yeah,
I imagine it was a dream that you had, as you said before.
Yeah.
And the reality of running a business is quite different to the dream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as many businesses will realise, staff are your most expensive cost, but they're the most valuable cost, most valuable item, and you've got to look after them and nurture them, and they're key to how your business works. So you've got staff so if anybody that's opening a business, get the staff right, which is easier said than done, and we've made mistakes without a doubt.
They're representing you and your business.
Absolutely.
It has to come from the top.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise things get lost. You touched on this briefly, but where do you think the Commute Café will go over the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I think for us, we'd like to continue growing. We have a few ideas going forward, whether that's a mobile bike station with a coffee machine attached to it. Definitely Hélène's French conversation classes. So we've been talking about a language hub for the St Ives community, and whether we can bring in other language teachers into the fold.
So if you could give anybody starting on their own business that starts off something they always dreamed of to the reality of running that business, what do you think that piece of advice would be?
Attention to detail. Make sure that, obviously the big thing, obviously we drew up a business plan because we had to for our funding for the government. But the business plan, was all well and good, but you need everything else around it, because there are certain things, and it's like, analogy that I'd like to use is like having a baby. So you can read all the manuals and everything that you can, books and everything about it, but it's not until you have one. And they're all slightly different and they all do different things, but it's not until you have one that you actually experience it. So my recommendation, if anyone does want to do it, have a really positive and open mind, and be prepared for the lows and highs.
James, I really appreciate you coming in today. It's
That's right.
a brilliant example of how somebody who has a dream and a passion and the motivation to start an independent cafe, it's a fantastic example of how that works.
Thank you for
very much.
inviting me, and enjoy your coffee.
Thanks for the coffee.
All right. Cheers.
Always welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
A big thank you for James for coming in today, and of course for bringing me an excellent coffee and for sharing his story. It's a great reminder of the passion and persistence that it takes to succeed as an independent business today. And if you haven't been to the Commute Café, make sure you stop by the next time that you're in St Ives, and you can find them online at thecommutecafe.com and of course on social media. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe for more local business stories right here on the Riverport Business Podcast.